Good evening, Padawans and Padawins, and welcome once again to your Monday night. I am back. It is JT the Redneck, and of course, I'm dragging along, screaming and kicking and shouting the one and only geek, Mr. Sully. We are here this week for two Ewoks in the Park, and we are starting our review of Bad Batch Season 3. Do me a favor, grab your favorite adult beverage or whatever it is you want to drink, something to munch on, kick back in that beanbag chair, and get ready to learn some stuff and maybe even laugh a little bit. So, if that's the case and you're ready, Sully, it's all yours.
Oh, I thank you, sir. Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome to Two Ewoks in the Park, where I wish I had my Star Wars shirt on, but I didn't have time to change it because... yeah, it's been crazy today, but that's besides the point. Besides the point. We're lucky we're live. Yes. But hey, it's all good. Well, like JT said, we are going to be reviewing the Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 1. We may get into 2. Depends on how long it takes us to go through pretty much the entire rundown of the show, you know? It really does. It depends on how long it takes us. But this is Two Ewoks.
In other words, it depends on how much I yak.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Because I'm sure you have questions. Am I right?
Yeah. Yes and no. I don't think I have as many questions as you initially thought that I would have.
Really? I'm impressed.
Really. There is, a lot of stuff for me. I've still got 3 episodes of season 2 to finish.
Uh-huh.
But I have seen the final episode of season 2, so I know what's going on as we go into season 3.
So you're all caught up for the most part, you're caught up. I'm
all caught up, just got to fill in some, blank spaces behind. But right. I'm doing okay here. It's actually been pretty easy for me to follow, so I'm not as lost as you think I might be, or might think I am. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think you were ever going to be really lost.
Right.
Because in the whole process leading up to this, the first thing you said to me were, what were the important episodes that I needed to watch?
Right. And especially going into 3.
Yeah. Especially going into 3, season 1, obviously, that's pretty important. You need to know where, who the characters are, where they're coming from, what's going on. And then, now that this is the last and final season of it, maybe we'll go back and review season 1 and 2, just so we can have them. But, we got to find time for that. Mm-hmm. But at least you know what's going on, because... from season 2, the end of season 2, we see Tech die. Tech falls.
Right.
To his death.
Right.
And we see we see Omega get taken.
Right. And we should no.
Yes.
Oh, well, I was going to say we see Echo leave, but that's in episode 1, right?
Yeah, but Echo's to and from with the Bad Batch as it is. So
right.
And he's rejoined forces with Rex and all of them. So they're out there. We know they're out there. Right. This one, episode 1, is called Confined. One of the longer episodes so far. And yes,
time-wise, no. Because
yeah.
Time-wise, it's only 27 minutes, whereas episode 2 is 33 minutes.
No, episode 1's 33 minutes too.
Well, from the timers that it showed on me, it was 27 and 33.
Okay.
But the pacing on episode 1 in Confined.
Yeah.
I swear it felt like it was an hour long.
Really? It was.
I was literally sitting there going, because it would fade to black, and I'd be okay. Well, that's the end of it. The background's going to come up, and Dave Filoni and all that. Yeah. The credits were going to come up. and it started another scene, or it went into, on my end, it went into a freaking commercial.
Yes.
And I'm like, this episode is taking forever. It felt like it was an hour long, but it was good.
Yeah. And by the way, spoilers are now in effect. So,
yes.
good luck, folks. Good luck. So,
You're going to need it.
With Confined, we're obviously on the planet Tantus. We're at the Tantus base. And we see one of the Imperial shuttles approaching the base. They call them the TK Stormtroopers. And the reason they call them TK Stormtroopers is because some of them are still clones. But now they're starting to get rid of the clones, and we're just doing Stormtroopers now, which is where the TK comes in. You know, TK421, why aren't you at your post? There's a little flashback to A New Hope for you there.
Right.
TK421, come in. We got bad comms. Well, in this case, the shuttle is communicating with the base traffic control. They're going back and forth and asking permission to land. And the shuttle is struck by a bolt of lightning.
Yes.
Which, great way to start the episode, by the way.
Yeah, and it happens more than you might think it does.
Oh, I know.
With, you know, planes in the sky and shit flying through storms, and, you know, I mean, it's more realistic than you think it might be of that happening.
Big metal and fiberglass container. Hell yeah, it's going to strike.
More than likely.
Well, it causes it to short circuit and crashes in the jungle. Stormtroopers survive the landing with one of them, TK343, trying to attempt contact to the base. And while they're trying to contact the base, there's noises in the woods.
Yes.
I always love when there's noises in the woods. Do you know why? Do you know why I love when there's noises in the woods?
Because it usually means something scary is going to show up.
Yep, pretty much. Pretty much, you're all going to die. Yup.
Something bad's a coming and you ain't gonna like it.
Nope. Well, in this case, they're called Lucra hounds, and I want to say this is kind of like their first time really seeing these. You know, they're native to the planet Wayland, which is where Tantus base is. But it's kind of like a dog. I mean, it's basically a dog, you know.
A big, giant, mean as hell, grumpy ass, big old dog.
Yeah. You know what? We'll call it like a wolf. How about that? It's actually like a wolf, if you think about it. Big. But the only reason why I say a wolf.
We'll go with that.
The only reason why I say wolf, yes, dogs do hunt in packs, but wolves are more brutal.
We'll call it a rabid wolf.
There you go. Rabid wolf.
A rabid wolf.
I'm trying to pull up a good picture of it.
I just don't want to give wolves a bad name, because you know me. Hello.
It's true.
You know,
true. You have the wolf fighter and all that.
Can't forget him. You know.
It's true. It's true.
I have them all over the place.
I gotcha.
They are a very interesting creature, though.
They are. They're very interesting. And I'm pulling it up here because I can. And
right.
let me just I'm gonna put it up on your screen here because why not? It's already there. And let's do that. So if you
bada bing, bada boom, bang.
Yep, pretty much. And we'll put him right near your head. How about that? We're not gonna cover Grogu because that would be mean.
Yeah, put him over here.
There he is.
Put him over there.
That's one of the Lucra hounds that we're talking about here in in this wonderful world of Wayland near the Tantus base. And while we're on this, well, why did it just go back to you? That was weird. Gotta love technology. I just looked it up. This is actually their first appearance in Star Wars. So, yay.
We've probably heard them before.
So they were mentioned
Maybe,
in... Where were they mentioned? They were mentioned in Metamorphosis. The episode Metamorphosis, which was season 2. Season 2 is where they mention them, but you don't actually see them. Not until this specific one. So while the while they're crashed and say, hey, listen, one of the stormtroopers is like, yeah, just remember the hounds are out. The Lucre hounds are out.
Yeah.
So, and we find some more information out in a little bit, but basically the stormtroopers respond that the hounds don't operate that far out from the base, which apparently is not true because Dr. Hemlock is asking...
Well, they were outside the perimeter.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that you have to realize is the base has a secure perimeter around it.
Yes.
And inside that base, they have control of the hounds.
Yes.
Outside of the base, it's a freaking free-for-all.
Fair game.
And, like any wild creature, they're always, and I mean always, even when they're freaking sleeping,
Yeah.
they're hungry.
Food.
They are ready to feed. They open their eyes and go, ooh, dinner time.
Which, in this case, you can hear because Hemlock is saying, hey, where's the shuttle? Why hasn't it arrived yet? Oh, it crash landed outside the perimeter. And you can hear them fending off the Lucre beasts over the intercom. And Hemlock flat out says,
calling for backup.
Yep. And he says, well, they're good as dead. And they had, what was it? The misfortune of landing outside the base perimeter.
Yep.
This guy, Dr. Hemlock, holy crap, is he sinister.
He is, I mean, pure evil on crack, meth, coke, and LSD at the same time.
Yes.
Dude has no feelings whatsoever.
Nope. Because he's all about the
definitely
Empire.
lives up to the Hemlock name.
Yes. And he's all about the Empire. He's for the Empire, and he doesn't care who he has to sacrifice or get rid of in the process in order for him to succeed in what he's going for.
Yes.
Such a riveting opening scene because that just paints the picture for the way the whole entire season is going to be. It really does. Well, we fast forward just a little bit in the morning where we're seeing Omega looking outside her window on the base because she's a prisoner. But is she? I mean, she is. We know she's a prisoner, but she has a lot of freedoms. And we find this out because from the water dripping, we get the sense of, okay, she's been here a while.
Well, and she's keeping track.
Oh,
She's keeping track on the windowsill.
Oh, she's keeping track all right. But her sister, Mary Carr, her sister.
Which her sister.
Still has yet to be proven. Visits her, and Omega is, saying, listen, I know I'm a prisoner. And Carr's like, no such thing. You're not a prisoner here. You'll get used to this. You'll get used to this life. This life behind bars. Yet you can pretty much come and go, and she can. She has a lot of freedom throughout the base, where she can
Yes.
walk around. She helps. She assists in the lab. She does whatever. But we also
Yeah, she's able to move by herself. She doesn't have to be escorted everywhere she goes.
Right. And
Which is huge.
and even Carr is telling her that, hey, listen, it's safer here than outside. Which, as we found out, yep, much safer in the base than outside.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start seeing the pattern. We start seeing her walking the same way with Carr. We see clone troopers. We see Crosshair. And Crosshair looks beat up. Like not,
Oh, yeah.
not like, bruised, battered, and beaten, but exhausted to the point where he's checked out,
I think the words you're looking for are completely worn down.
Yes.
He's not beat up
Yes.
mentally or physically. He is completely worn down. He is exhausted.
Yes. But we also see them surrounded by the clone commandos. They're brothers at arms who are loyal to the Empire.
Right.
But we also start seeing what's going on with Carr and how she's collecting blood samples from clone troopers. Not just the clone troopers, but she's also taking a sample of Omegas every time she goes in there. And we'll see this as we go along. It's one of those things where like that vicious cycle. It's the same thing every day. They're finding whatever. Your Grogu is getting attacked, by the way. Notice how
you.
I notice how she backs away whenever I say something now.
Are you linked in too or something or what?
And for those just listening, his cat annoys him every time we do the show. So
Yeah. Oreo cookies are good. This Oreo
not so much.
is like bad feedback.
Yeah, not so much. Well, so as she's collecting the clone troopers' blood and Omega's blood, she's being told, there are things that we do for a reason. And the reason really hasn't been brought about. We can kind of put it together. We know the
Right.
Emperor is doing something.
Well, and I like how she convinced Omega to give her blood.
Yes.
She's like, everybody does it. We all do it. We all have to make sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
And
Everybody
Omega's
serves
like,
a purpose.
Okay.
Yep. But there was hesitation with Omega getting onto that table so she can collect the blood.
Yeah. Yeah. And totally understandable.
And Omega asked her why. Why are you collecting this? And Carr responds with, I don't know. Everybody has their purpose. I don't know. Well, Omega starts drilling her even deeper, asking her, starts telling her, hey, listen, I never saw you on Camino. Which, to me, Omega is starting to put two and two together.
Right.
And she told her, well, I was with Dr. Hemlock and we went elsewhere. I was under his wing. He is my mentor, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then she did the one thing that I kind of saw coming, and I'm sure you did too, was Carr told Omega that Hemlock saw potential in her just like Nala Se saw potential in Omega.
Mm-hmm.
And then Omega kind of does the whole kid thing. Hey, listen, I never had a sister before. I'm glad I'm not alone.
Right.
Which...
Notice she got no reply to that.
Yeah, she got no reply whatsoever. Carr just collected her blood, put it with the rest of the samples, and said, hey, go bring this to the lab and bring it to Nala Se. That right there, and shoot me down if I'm wrong on this, but to me, that right there means she's not a clone. She's using Omega to get what she wants. What do you think? Oh, the wheels are turning
theory.
now.
It's a good theory. It's something I hadn't thought of.
Uh-huh. Using her.
The issue I have with the sisters thing is, I mean, look at the difference between the two of them.
Right. She doesn't look like a clone.
Didn't look like a clone. She's grown up and everything. And I mean, I guess they, if they're born in the same or created in the same lab, I guess they consider themselves brothers and sisters and blah, blah, blah.
So as
like
long
she
as,
does with the guys from Bad Batch.
As long as they share the DNA from Jango Fett, they're clones.
Okay. They're considered sisters. Yeah,
the main difference is Omega's unaltered. Just like Boba Fett was unaltered.
Right.
He was an unaltered clone.
It's a good theory, though.
It's a very good
her mannerisms and everything to me, though, still kind of speak clone. The way she moves and things like that still kind of speak clone to me. But it's a good possibility. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, to an extent. But anything's possible. Anything's possible. So
especially in the Star Wars universe.
Yes. Well, now that she's got the test tube, she's going off to the lab. She has full access to the lab. She can walk wherever she wants. And she walks past the protocol droid, very similar to C-3PO, but it's not C-3PO. It's an RA-7 droid. And there are two clone commandos guarding the door. They let her in. Yay! She's in a secondary chamber, and then everything gets scanned. There was like 5 or 6 freaking white lasers scanning her on that.
Like that was cool.
Like, what are you gonna bring in, a scalpel? She's
right.
not gonna hurt Nala Se. She loves Nala Se.
But the scanner was cool because it came from the 4 corners, which is different. You don't usually. It's usually like a frontal or a front and a back or a side and a side, but not from the corners. You don't usually see that. So that was interesting.
Yeah. Well, right away after she gets into the lab, Nala Se is asking her, thanking her for the blood samples, because Nala Se is doing a project with the blood. And the first thing she says to Omega is, "Did they take your blood?" And Omega said, "Yeah. Carr told me that everybody serves their purpose and they need to do it." And Nala Se takes the sample and burns it. And all she says is, "It's safer this way." Burns it. Which means Nala Se knows what is in Omega's blood.
Oh, well, without a doubt. And now that she's actually working with the Empire on this project, she knows what they're trying to do. And she knows for a fact that if they get Omega's blood, it's going to go right through.
Yeah.
And she does not want that to happen in any way, shape, or form. And
the reason being is, and Omega asks this, Nala Se says, well, it's not the clone program. This is different. This is different than the clone program. But the research is in the clone program. And they're saying the Empire is seeking reproduction of a genetic M count.
Midichlorian.
That's what I'm thinking too. That it's the midichlorian count that they're really looking for.
I think when I heard that, my first thought was they're trying to create a Jedi powerful stormtrooper.
Yes.
You know, I mean, why else would they worry about the M count?
So here's my theory.
And there's a comment that's made a little later on in this, it's either this episode or episode 2, about that.
Yeah, later on. But here's my theory. And this is only a theory based on what I know of Star Wars, which is a very, very... I know a lot of shit.
Right.
And what we've already seen on TV or in the movies. So what have we already seen? We've seen the cloning. We've seen altered clones and unaltered clones. We've seen clones that were rejected because they weren't good. Hence the Bad Batch. We also have seen Moff Gideon clone himself. We've also seen the Emperor clone himself. All of which, by the way, is legend / canon because of the books, the comics, everything. It's all there. And Dave Filoni's going, screw you. There you go. But, and this is my theory, I think Omega is a Jedi.
I think she has the powers. Well, I mean, she's a clone of Fett, an unaltered clone.
An unaltered
clone. You know, she's got the DNA for it. And I think it's just that she somehow came through pure.
Yes.
And that's why she's so valuable. Agreed. Because they've got to have high midichlorian numbers in order for what they're trying to do to be successful.
Right.
And I wish I could make the statement that was made, you know, here in a little bit, because it would help to explain it.
Yes.
But I can't, so I won't, because it would make it a lot easier.
Until later. But at the same time, Nala Se explains to Omega that these specimens are not clones. Which then makes me wonder, what are they looking for in the clone DNA? Besides the high M count to get the results that they need. Makes you wonder. And
There's a lot of things going on that make you wonder.
And the only reason that Omega is there is in hopes that Hemlock pushes Nala Se to work harder and faster to find what they're looking for. Okay? Mm-hmm. Which obviously she's, you know, screwing things up for them, which, yay, go Nala Se. Consequences are going to be bad, though.
Right.
Well, this is where Hemlock comes into the room. Hey, how's everything going? I'm going to bring it to the vault. And we don't know what's in the vault. We haven't seen exactly what's in the vault yet.
Did you see the freaking security?
Oh, yeah. The security was huge.
I mean, there was close to a dozen troopers in there.
Yeah, there were
every one of them armed to the nines.
Yeah. Dun, dun.
Kind of,
I know what you did there.
But then, you know, when they open the door, you see all these freaking, I don't even know what to call them, but they're like electrified door fences.
Yeah.
You know, kind of things that open you up past and it closes. And there's got to be 5 or 6 of them.
Yes.
Going down that tunnel. And it's like, holy shit, man, that is some major... We haven't seen security like that around Palpatine.
Right. No, you're
right. That is the most secure spot I have ever seen in anything Star Wars that I have ever watched in my life.
And usually there's maybe like 2 or 3 guards.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah. And none of these, you know, electric, you know, these freaking laser doors and shit. And I mean, dude, you'd think it was Fort Knox in there.
What I found interesting, though, is when they got to the doors, aside from Hemlock being the one to go in, because Nala Say didn't, the
No, yeah, she followed him.
yeah, she did follow him in. You're right. She did go in, but she had a sample with her, and that sample was scanned,
Mm-hmm.
and it matched something going on behind those doors.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting to see, they're finding something other than what's going on with Omega's blood in these clones.
Yeah.
Well, from there we see Omega now, kind of like in stables, where we're seeing the Lurka Hounds. And the K9X1 droid, or K9 droid is what they called it. Right. He's a sentry droid. He lures the Lurka back inside. And Omega is, doing what she normally does. She's cleaning up. She's working around the pen. But she goes to one specific one. And that specific one is her, quote, pet, Batcher, that she names it Batcher. And this one, though, refuses to eat the biscuits that they're given. Refuses to eat the food. So Omega gives the Lurka some of her food. And Batcher just eats it all up.
Yeah, and almost gets her head bit off in the process.
I mean, those things are going to kill you no matter what.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're mean.
But she's also starting to, what's the word I'm looking for here? Imprint on the Lurk.
Yes.
Which is a good thing, because for her, she needs it. She's a kid.
Mm-hmm.
She's a kid in this messed up galaxy. Doesn't know which way's which.
Mm-hmm.
But she's starting to catch on, because she's just as smart as her brothers, if not smarter. Which I think the bad batch for her is the intelligence. Just putting it out there.
Well, yeah. I mean, she's, with the time that she's been with them, she's learned to always analyze your surroundings and, pay attention to the small things and all that kind of, especially learning from Hunter.
Yes.
And stuff like that. And it all applies to where she's at now.
Yeah. Well, Batcher obviously eats the food. She's very willing and says, I'll bring you more tomorrow. And she leaves the pens. And with her freedom, she's walking through the corridors, and she notices there are several cells where the clone troopers are being held. And that's when she decides to take a look and take advantage of the missing sentries. Missing sentries. The ones that are on patrol that are, not really on patrol because they're walking around talking or not paying attention, because these clone troopers are locked up. They can't get out. They can't. So in this case, she visits Crosshair. And Crosshair is flat out, don't try it, kid. Don't try to escape. Just no. Don't bring me into this. Don't even try. You're never going to get out of here. You might as well accept it. This is the clue that Crosshair is now like, I'm done. I've had it. I'm tired of running. I'm tired of fighting for the Empire. I'm tired of doing whatever it needs to do. I'm just done.
Well, he made that kind of obvious when he blew away the lieutenant. Or the captain, true. Sorry.
Yep, true, from season 2. Yeah, I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there at the end of season 2 where he, put a round right through the center of the captain's chest.
Yeah.
I love that scene. One of my favorite scenes of the look of realization and terror on the captain's face.
Yeah.
Is permanently imprinted in my head.
Oh, it was
because
fantastic.
it was, put it this way, it was fucking awesome.
It really was. It really was.
Oh, it was so cool. It was so cool.
So,
Sorry, a little sidetrack there.
well, no, I mean, you're not wrong, though. You're not wrong. Because that's what
awesome.
led him to being to where he is now. And
Yeah.
now, you know, it's funny because Crosshair doesn't want her to visit him. He's mentioned it. He's like, go away. Just go away.
Well,
Don't bother.
He's like, you know, the way he's looking, I would not risk my escape to save you.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to risk your possible escape to save me.
Yes.
You know, is what he told her.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, you're my brother.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Which also brings up the point of her trusting people. Now, she does tell Crosshair that, hey, we can trust Carr. She's one of us. We can trust her. This is where the naiveness of a child comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Because Crosshair, without missing a beat, says, and I loved this line, not every clone is your ally.
Yep.
Which we've seen. We've seen the clones have been reprogrammed. We've seen them being loyal to the Empire. We've also seen clones breaking away from that.
Right.
Crosshair
well,
being
and
one of
you
them.
know, they're using her,
Yes.
not Omega, but the other one.
Carr.
Brain freeze. But they're using her to take advantage of a part of Omega of wanting family.
Yes.
She has no family now. She's been
Yes.
separated from the Bad Batch and everything else. She's alone. She needs to attach to something.
Yes.
So it's a very, very smart tactic on the Empire's part.
Without a doubt.
But that also kind of gets put in question here
Right?
in a little bit.
Doesn't that bring up my theory pretty well?
It kind of does. It kind of does. Yeah.
I think I'm like hitting it right on the nose with this one. Well,
It's definitely a viable theory.
okay. Well, I'll take viable.
It's still passing what they call the piss test.
Yes.
At this point.
Which again brings us back to Crosshair telling her, listen, you're too trusting. And Omega saying, well, you don't trust enough. So what's it going to be?
Yeah, that was awesome.
What's it
she
gonna
shut
be?
him up when she said that.
Oh, hands down. And listen, she may be a kid, but she does have the instincts that Hunter has. Hands down.
Mm-hmm.
She's been learning from them, which is great.
Yep.
Her character has grown so much just from episode to episode, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
And Crosshair flat out tells her, you need to leave. Leave. Go away.
If you have the chance, get out. Go.
And Omega
Don't come back for me.
Omega flat out tells him, I will find a way and I'm coming to get you. Which she's not wrong. He is her brother.
Mm.
Family's family. Yes, there's issues with people and families. It happens. There's one in every crowd. In this case,
Right.
it's Crosshair. But at the same time, even though he tried to get Omega and kill his brothers,
Mm.
you can already see that Crosshair is getting to that point of, why am I doing this?
Right.
Like, I don't expect 100% forgiveness, but I'm sorry. And he's not even saying I'm sorry at all.
Right. Right.
Not saying it at all. But she leaves him, goes back to her cell, and puts another tally mark on her wall, like you mentioned earlier in the episode, that she's keeping track of her days. And what she does is she packs her food away, and then she takes out a Tuca doll that she made. which is very similar to the Tuca doll that Wrecker gave her on Camino. That big black and long-eared with red on it. That doll, which is currently sitting
that she keeps. Yeah.
That's her doll. That's her doll that Wrecker used to hug and all the time, because Wrecker is basically just a big kid too.
He is. Yeah,
but
definitely.
But it's funny how, you know, she's out grazing at the moon, and we see the blood samples being tested still.
Mm-hmm. And that's weird how they're showing that. Because all they show up to this point, you know, through episode 2, all they've shown is, you know, the new tube comes up, a couple of drops of blood, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Get dropped into the vial, and then it sits there.
Yeah.
And that's all they're showing. You know, to this point, we've not seen any kind of reactions in the blood or anything like that. So it's
yeah.
I'm not sure what they're doing.
Me either.
You know, it's kind of weird.
Me either. Well,
I mean, is it a thing where, you know, they're mixing the blood to see if, you know, one blood fights the other blood or something like that, or the compatibilities or something, which kind of gets answered again in episode 2.
Yes, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there, because now the next morning, obviously Omega's not allowed to have this Tuca doll because she's hiding it, which makes sense. You know, it's supposed to have personal belongings.
Yeah, personal items are forbidden.
Yes.
You cannot have any kind of personal item at all.
Right. Well, as routine, Kara comes to her, wakes her up, well, gets her out of her room, and they go on their walk through the corridors, and it's the same thing. Same thing that happens every day. And she walks by Crosshair. She walks by the other clones. Everything is exactly the same. It's like you're watching the beginning of the episode again. Only today, we still see Nala Se dispose of the sample. They still walk on. They do what they need to do. Only this time, when Omega visits the kennels, Batcher is hurt. And you can see Batcher's hurt. Got a nice, nice little scar going on the forearm there. And Omega reports the injury to the K9, and he explains that, well, that one sustained injuries during night patrol, and if they don't heal, it's going to be terminated, going to kill it. And that sets Omega off.
Oh, big time. Big time. Not well, it sets her off a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
and I say a little bit because of what's coming.
Well, yes. Yes. So Omega tells him, treat her. And the droid says, I'm not a medical droid. I'm not programmed to treat wounds. Which makes sense. He's not. The droids do what they're programmed to do. Unless you're R2-D2, and that's pretty much do whatever you want.
Or C-3PO.
Well, 3PO is still a protocol droid, so he translates, he still does what he needs to do. He's basically like a manservant. R2, on the other hand, R2 tends to, get into trouble. But with Batcher whimpering in pain, Omega borrows a cleansing tool from the first aid kit and convinces Batcher to let her treat her, which he does. Batcher does.
Yes.
And later, she's back with Crosshair, telling him about the story, and you can kind of see Crosshair's just like, "What are you doing? Leave me alone." All I thought was, older brother, younger sister. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? What are you doing? Like pushing the buttons to annoy, but not really, And I just thought it was interesting that whole time he's just laying there like, okay, you need to stop. Just stop. You're move on.
What
You
is
know?
what is your what is your mission?
Yeah.
You know, he yells at her, just stop. What is your mission? And her reply is to escape.
Yep.
And he says, then quit. Basically, he says, quit fucking around with all this other crap.
Yep.
And complete your mission.
Well, I like what he said to her though, because he said to her, "I would not think twice about abandoning you."
Yep. And which was an extension of the same conversation previously.
Yes.
But this is months down the road.
Yeah. But
you know, there's a lot more marks on that windowsill.
oh yeah. But at the same time, Omega says, "No, I doubt it. I doubt it. You wouldn't do it." And then he asks why, and Omega said, "Because I wouldn't leave you."
Yep.
That's
Stopped him cold in his tracks again.
That's a kid basically knocking a fully grown adult who can make his own decisions in the head with a hammer. Just bam.
Mm-hmm.
Dude. But I do like his reply as she's walking away. And I really felt like this was him kind of atoning for his past of the way he said it. Don't risk anything from me.
Yep.
I belong here. You don't. And I'm like,
yeah, that was
ooh.
a very powerful statement.
Big Brother came out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it proved that,
Well,
Crosshair does care about her.
Right. And I mean, it's just like when Tech says, you know, when do we follow orders?
Yes.
And shot the thing that was holding him up, and he was gone.
Yep. Well,
it was basically the same thing, except, you know, he wasn't dangling from a wire at this point.
The next day, it starts off same as always, only this time with a surprise inspection from clone troopers.
Yep.
And it's basically, they're waking her up and they see the Tuca doll. And they take it.
Well, she was sleeping with it.
Yes. She
was curled up with it, and she was trying to hide it behind her back.
Yep. But they took the doll right from her. And Carr said to her, "You're not allowed to have any personal items." And that she will dispose of it. And then they go about doing their duties. Which is, again, the same thing. Going to the cars.
To me, that is all the Empire is routine.
It's routine.
The same thing. Well, any kind of military service, that's what that is.
Yep.
Is it's routine.
And it's on time as well.
Mm-hmm.
On time.
Yep.
So Nala Se is reporting to Dr. Hemlock, who is displeased that the M count has diminished in the process. He warns her that they need to get that specimen to match. If it doesn't, this would be a failure. He also says that if it fails, he will start revoking Omega's privileges. And that's more for him to basically hold that grasp on her to get her to do what she wants him to do. And he also says that there's going to be consequences.
Right.
You mess this up, shit's going to hit the fan.
Well, see, and that's what I was talking about, where the numbers, the midichlorian numbers, seem to be a major focal point of this, because when he was talking about the numbers went down, the numbers on the sample that was successful, the ending numbers were lower than the numbers of the beginning sample.
Yes.
So even though they did combine or they did whatever it is that they're doing, it was still a failure
Yes.
because the numbers weren't high enough.
Right. And not only that, Nala Say flat out says, listen, I'm a scientist. I'm all for science. That's where my loyalty lies. And if my loyalty lies with science, then obviously it lies with the Empire for their science division. And Hemlock replies back that the Emperor is not as patient as he is.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
as forgiving,
as for, well, a little bit of both.
But true.
A little bit of both. Because, listen, and I'm just going to paint a picture here. If the Emperor wasn't a patient man, the Clone Wars would have never happened.
Right.
Just putting it out there.
Right.
Because he would have taken over instantly.
Right.
But he is a patient man. He's just not as forgiving. Well, from there, Omega is now back doing her duties. She's at the Lucra pens, and she sees that Batcher's wound is healing very nicely. But the
looked like it was pretty much healed at that point.
Yeah, it looked very nice, I thought. Well, the K9X1 informs Omega that Batcher is slated for termination.
Now, you remember when I said that earlier when she just got a little bit pissed off?
Yep.
He goes off the freaking handle.
Yes. But he also made a very good point that the reason Batcher was slated for termination was not because of the wound. It was because of the domestication that she was giving Batcher.
Mm-hmm.
Which means now he's a liability. We can't use him.
He was basically domesticated, and
yeah,
he no longer serves the purpose that we need from him.
Mm-hmm. Well, Omega decides, no, I'm not having that. She grabs a data pad, and now the two are fighting.
He's fighting a damn robot.
Because she not only uses the data pad to drop a cage on K9X1.
Oh, and that was friggin' awesome. That was beautiful.
She also takes the electro staff that he was going to use on her to his head.
Yes. We got to short circuit him somehow because he was still moving. So
yeah. She unlocks the kennel. She removes the control collar and tells her, Batcher to run. Get out of here. Go. And Omega tells Batcher that I can't go with you. I need to get Crosshair first. Which
it's one of those, okay, you see it in the movies all the time. I fixed you. You're okay now. You can fly free.
Yes.
And it doesn't want to go.
Yes.
It's one of those.
Well, from there, obviously, things are now going south because Hemlock is now aware of it. Their alarms were sounded. Emery Carr is just like, okay, what's going on? Wait a second. Why did you release the Lurka into the wild and be done with it? And accused Omega of being cruel. Because Batcher's already domesticated now.
Right.
Now he's out there in the wild. Why'd you do that? He's going to die. And she...
Makes you think.
And she flat out says, because you were going to kill him. Great rebuttal.
He turned that right around on her.
Yeah. Because, as he put it, well, just so you know, we had an Imperial shuttle crash down not too long ago, and all of those stormtroopers were killed by wild beasts.
Yeah. And what they weren't killed by the crash.
Weren't killed in the crash. Wild beasts. How do you think Batcher is going to be? And
Yeah, how do you think he's going to fare?
Yeah. How do you think he's going to be? And she goes, well, he deserves a chance. Makes sense. Deserves a chance.
It does.
Why not?
It does. He may die, but at least he's going to die free. Because that was another comment that she makes to God. Crosshair. Jeez.
Brain fart.
That hurt.
Yeah.
But that was another comment that she made to Crosshair earlier in the episode. Is she was getting ready to walk away, and he says, you know, well, it was when he made the comment about, you know, I belong here.
Yes.
She turns around, and as she walks away, she says, none of us belong here.
Yeah. And here's why.
As she walks away.
And here's why. She knows what's going on, not just from the tests and everything. She knows that they're all there for a reason. And as Hemlock is showing his true colors about sentiment and emotion are not welcomed in these walls, she knows something's going on. And they're not revealing it because they don't need to know. They're just prisoners there. And Carr takes Omega back to her cell or her room and says, well, we're going to take some of your privileges away. And, oh, by the way...
What was it? Restrict her access.
Restrict her access, yes. But Omega tells Carr that she knows the only reason she's there is to keep Nalase in line and do his bidding.
Yep.
And she goes,
oh, she told Hemlock that.
Yeah. Well, no, she told Carr
Hemlock
that too, because Carr was bringing her back, and she's like, yeah. Well, Omega also says that he wouldn't dare hurt her. But he replies back, and I love this. This was the sign of the true bad guy here.
Mm-hmm. Shows how much of a real asshole he is.
Yeah. He will terminate her if Omega's behavior continues. Your actions have
also
consequences.
I have other ways
Yes.
of making her do what we want her to do.
Yes.
You know, we have ways of making her talk, kind of thing.
Yes. Now, I will say that this next scene with her sitting inside her cell crying was probably the most emotional that Carr ever got.
Mm-hmm.
Because as she's attempting to speak to Omega, she doesn't really answer nothing. She just tells Carr to go away.
Yep.
And what Carr does is gives her back the Tuca doll.
Mm-hmm. See, that's the part I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that makes me wonder.
Is she really a clone or not?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this, it's like, I just can't tell.
Yep. But from there, she hears Omega. Omega hears Batcher howling in the distance. And we see Batcher rummaging through the wreckage of the shuttle.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was really cool.
To see him.
Showing that Batcher made it. Batcher's out there. And oh, by the way, don't mess with
Still kicking ass. Yep. Kicking ass and taking names.
That is the end of the episode. I thought we were going to get to 2 today, but apparently not.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing.
There's
and
so much
that's why I
detail.
said it was only a 27-minute episode, according to my tracker.
Yeah.
It was only 27 minutes. Episode 2 is 33 minutes.
Yeah.
Episode 2 felt like it was 20 minutes long. Episode 1 felt like it was an hour. There was so much
so much
detail that went into this episode.
Yeah.
There were so many things that we covered in this that answered a lot of questions and laid a lot of groundwork for what's to come. So it was real interesting. Very, very interesting.
Totally worth it too.
Yeah. It was worth it. I mean, and like I said, it felt like a long episode.
It really did, but
Mhm.
at the same time,
But it wasn't a pacing problem. That's the tricky part.
Yeah, there really wasn't.
Mm-mm.
There was no pacing issues at all, and like I said, just seeing the way Hemlock is, you're like, wow, this guy. Oh man, I don't want to mess with this guy.
he is definitely trouble. You know, he is Empire through and through and through.
Oh yeah, hands down. And he, like, I'm not even getting mad scientist out of him.
No, not at all.
I'm just getting a bad guy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Which means, my friend, what would you rate this episode? How many clone trooper helmets would you give this episode?
I was going to say test files, but trooper helmets works. It's hard to say, man. It really, really is. Like I said, the episode felt like it lasted forever, you know, but it wasn't a pacing problem, which was weird to say. You know, those usually aren't two comments that you get at the same time.
Right.
Storyline was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything going on with Omega, everything going on with Crosshair, all the sub stories with, you know, the I can't think of names, with Carr and with Hemlock and with the scientist lady and with the senator that he brought in, you know, and everything. So many sub stories underneath that go along with it that I'm going to have to give it a 3.5. I'm going to go 3.5.
3.5.
I'll go 3 3/4. 3 3/4.
3 3/4. Wow. Why so low?
Well, for me, that's not low. In my opinion, 3 3/4 is not low.
Okay. All right.
There's just, I don't know. I mean, there's just something about the episode, you know, that stops me from going to a 4.
Wow. I'm shocked.
I can't explain what it is.
Okay.
I can't explain what it is. It's almost there. It's close. It's really close, but I can't. In all honesty, to me, I can't give it the 4. So I'll go, you know, with 3 3/4. I'll go to that.
All right.
I'm enjoying it. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. No, I'm enjoying the storyline. Knowing what's to come makes it even better, you know, and that kind of thing. But yeah, that's where I've got to go. It's 3 3/4.
Wow. See, I'm going with a 4. It made it. It made it to 4 for me. Mostly because of everything that I already know when it comes to the
and I think that's what it is.
And that's okay, because I know we didn't do season 1 and season 2.
Right.
Because we couldn't. It was just,
we didn't even start doing this before they were already out. So
right. So so for me, I'm at a 4. I love that they changed Omega's look from season 1 and season 2. I love that they're making her grow up. I love that we're seeing her, the way she was naive in the first 2 is going out the window.
The stages of her hair match the stages of her growth.
Yes. You can see she's maturing. And that's what I really like about this episode. You can see that even though she's a kid, she's planning. And with the planning that she's doing, it's reminding me of her brothers, the Bad Batch. because she is a
Right.
member of the Bad Batch. So the fact that she's holding her own right now is probably what she needs for her character to keep going forward and develop. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it forces her not to be a little kid anymore, but she's always going to be a little kid for now. Which means even though she's doing what she's doing as a soldier and a clone, every now and then she's going to need a vacation and play around with the other kids on their new home that they found in season 2. So for me, 4 Clone Trooper helmets. Loved the episode. I thought it was fantastic. I didn't feel bored at all.
No.
And by the
No,
time
and
it
that's
was
why I say
over, I'm like, that's it?
yeah.
That's
There was no and that's why I say there was no pacing issue with it.
No.
You know.
Not at all. Well, that, my friends, is episode 1 of season 3, Confined of the Bad Batch. Next week, we will be tackling episode 2, Paths Unknown. That's right. I would love to do all of these back to back, but we just can't. We might be able to do 2 next week. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of detail in
We'll
all
put
of
it this way. It all depends on how much we have to unpack
Yes.
in each episode.
Yes.
Because they put
So much.
3 shows worth of shit in this one show.
So much. So
Yeah.
much. And it worked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
It absolutely works. So, for JT the Redneck, I am Sully the Geek. That, my friends, is this week's episode of 2 Ewoks in the Park. Please join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern for the Sully Show, where we've got some good shit in store. It's going to be wonderful, I tell you. And don't forget to tune in next Monday for 2 Ewoks in the Park, where we're tackling season 3 of The Bad Batch. For JT the Redneck, we shall see you all tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody. So long, and thanks for all the fish.